18. Do you remember when you were 18? Well, I remember when I was 18. I felt like a grown-up at the same time, not as grown-up. Well, in many democracies around the world, as soon as you turn 18, you have the right to vote. Well, if you're here in Korea, you would have to wait it out another year to exercise your suffrage right. While you have the right to getting a driver's license, get married, consume alcohol legally. Now, should the voting age here in this country be lowered to 18? The pros and cons. Our news feature tonight with LEe Jiwon.
Having seen students participate in the candlelight rallies, I think they are mature and can participate in an election.
I disagree. We're already busy studying for the college entrance exam, and we aren't completely informed about politics. If 18-year-olds could vote, we would most likely be influenced by our parents' political views, and not necessarily form our own ideas.
In Korea, 18-year-olds can get married, join the military, and get a driver's license, but they can't vote. But with this age group increasingly becoming active in civic life, as witnessed by the hundreds of thousands of high schoolers taking part in impeachment rallies recently, there's a growing call to lower the voting age to 18 here in Korea.
18-year-olds are capable of taking their own stances and having their voices heard on political matters. The legal voting age in most countries is 18, while in Korea it's 19.
In fact, 33 out of 35 OECD nations have a voting age of 18 or above. Note Austria at 16.
The country's history and background must be considered when giving voting rights to young people. In Korea, most 18-year-olds are high school seniors who haven't yet completed their schooling.
For high school students in Korea, senior year is especially important because it's when they take the national college entrance exam. Given the intensive preparations that go into it, there are also a number of people who are against lowering the voting age.
I think it's wrong for seniors to be thinking about politics and elections instead of focusing on their studies.
But some teachers say the students are more than ready to participate in civic life.
Students are our future leaders. Their ability to make their own decisions and solve their problems should be nurtured by giving them voting rights. And as a politics teacher, I find many of these students are more than capable of making decisions after a thorough review, just like adults are.
The debate over the voting age has flared again in recent days, as the country faces a major political scandal that's impeached the president, prompting the prospect of an early presidential election. There are currently about 40 million eligible voters in Korea, and if the nation's 600,000 18-year-olds were given the franchise, they'd represent 1.5% of the electorate. The liberal parties are in favor of lowering the voting age, while the conservative parties are largely opposed. That's partly based on the perception that young voters in Korea have a tendency to lean more towards liberal candidates. History shows democratic uprisings in this country were organized primarily by young people. However, that presumption may not be so applicable this time.
We cannot define all 18-year-olds as liberals. They are not as left-leaning as the young people who participated in the political movements in the past. Young people these days tend to act based more on what's important in their own lives.
In 2015, Japan lowered its voting age from 20 to 18. Japanese liberals were expecting the results to be in their favor, but it turned out that some 40% of new voters cast their ballots for the Conservative Party, while 17% voted Liberal. Pundits say this was because young voters actually focused on the candidates' pledges than their affiliations, and that is the approach Korea needs to take in this discussion.
Rather than sorting the gains and losses, leaders must discuss the fundamental issues. Voting is a very serious right for a citizen, and the parties must not change the rules of the game, especially with a game ahead, and without really providing them with policies or pledges.
Many believe the lowering of voting age to 18 will happen eventually, but more needs to be done to help better inform the new voters before the final decision is made.
Society needs to make an environment in which 18-year-olds are nurtured as responsible voters, including expansion of education on politics and democracy, while ensuring that the information isn't biased.
Lee Jiwon, Arirang News.